We do not have a bank account at all. So our reserve is in Bitcoin.
There will never be a better form of money than Bitcoin.
It was really important for me to run a business that is KYC free.
If you're not doing anything else, at least do self-custody with your Bitcoin.
In Western countries are more and more surveillance. Obviously, that's going to be a long, dark night for Western people. There was a big exodus from Western countries to more free countries. This trend will just continue to accelerate.
You're the founder of Peach Bitcoin, as I understood it, and it's like the peer-to-peer way to buy and sell Bitcoin, right?
Correct.
Is it also a no KYC or light KYC, or how is this working?
Yeah, correct. That's KYC free up to a certain limit, though. So up to 1,000 Swiss francs per day and 100,000 Swiss francs per year. So it's low limits, unfortunately. It's like limit for ants a little bit, but it's better than nothing. And I was like, it was really important for me to run a business that is KYC free. And I felt like this limit of 1,000 per day is good enough for the average person, I would say. So I was like, okay, I hate those limits. They're still completely, insane limits. But if this is fitting for the average plebs, the average person to stack sats, then okay, that works.
This is a limit that comes from the Swiss government, right?
Yes, correct.
And
Correct.
the limit is the same because you are available also outside of Swiss, right?
Yes, we made the app available almost globally. We excluded the IP from the US because the US is, a little bit too tricky, too strict, and I didn't want to get into trouble with the US. I don't want to end up in jail for Bitcoin, you know.
You don't want to be on the wrong side of the America, on the wrong list.
Exactly. So maybe, I mean, one day, if imagine Pitch goes to the moon, blah, 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 we could even think about opening an entity in the US, but that's not planned for now. So yes, all of this to say, Pitch is available globally except a few countries, like high-risk countries. And now the rule is true that the legal rule is a little bit tricky because the service is available globally as an internet service, but in some countries we are not, I guess, allowed or supposed to do active marketing. So I think that's that's the trick a little bit. So yeah, and so we have globally, but we didn't integrate with all the currencies yet. That's something we have to do.
Okay, so you only have certain currencies, and how, like, I wonder right now, and maybe also people that never bought Bitcoin KYC free or with light KYC, or like, how does no KYC work if you have an internet service that then, because you have to connect a bank, right? You, like, Peach has to have like some connection to a bank account. The money has to come somewhere, or like, how does it work?
No, actually, no. Pitch is just the matchmaker, and Pitch doesn't touch the fiat at all. So basically, you download the Pitch Bitcoin app, and you are not asked to provide anything to just download the app. You just download, and you straight have an account, which is your Pitch ID, so your Pitch pub key. You have a wallet as well, a self-custodial wallet, so you should save actually your seed phrase or your JSON file that contains the entire pitch account. And you create an offer, a buy offer or sell offer according to your preferences. So let's say I accept Euro, Swiss franc, and GBP with PayPal, Wise, Revolut, bank transfer. So I plug all of that into my offer. And then I wait for a match, and Pitch tells me, "Oh, you have a match. Like a seller is interested into your buy offer, or the other way around." And so we connect together. So if we kind of agree, like we double match, we get into a trade. And when I get into a trade with a seller, I see his payment details. Pitch doesn't see the payment details because they are encrypted, and only the trading partner can decrypt the payment details. So I will see, for example, his IBAN or his Revolut ID, and then I will have to go outside the Pitch app, go to my bank account or go to my Revolut app, make the payment, come back to Pitch, click on I made the payment. The seller checks that he receives the payment. He clicks on I receive the payment. And when he clicks on I receive the payment, the sats that are in an escrow are released to the buyer, either to his Pitch wallet or to his external wallet, as he prefers.
How high is the risk when you buy it and you give the money? Like, okay, there's one person. I just want to understand it right now on the spot. Like, there's one person that buys Bitcoin, so he transfers the money to the seller, and then the seller has to click, oh, I received it, and then his satoshis or his Bitcoin are going from one wallet to another wallet. Already happened that like he got the fiat payment and did not release the Bitcoin, or how does this is?
Yeah, dispute can happen. So right now, our dispute rate is quite low. It's like around 3%, and 50% of those 3% are self-resolved disputes. So just users maybe not understanding how the app works or some stuff like that. So how does that happen when there is a dispute? So the seller, first of all, the seller puts the sats, the Bitcoin, into an escrow. It's a 2 out of 2 multi-signature escrow between the seller and Pitch. This is a time lock escrow, meaning that after 4,230 blocks, which is around 1 month, 30 days, sorry, the escrow becomes a single signature for Pitch. Why? In case the seller is malicious and doesn't release the SAT. If the seller receives the fiat payment but doesn't click on I received the payment, then the buyer will open a dispute. The Pitch mediator will be able to join the chat message in the app. Then when a Pitch mediator joins the chat messages, everything becomes is decrypted for Pitch. So Pitch can read the chat messages and the payment data only when there is a dispute. And then we can settle the dispute. If the seller is malicious, then we settle the dispute for the buyer. And if the seller doesn't want to cooperate in sending the transaction, after 30 days after the escrow is funded, we can push the sats to the buyer. These days, having malicious sellers didn't happen a lot, actually. Didn't happen a lot because there's a few, yeah. So the sellers we have on Pitch, obviously there are fewer sellers than buyers. They're actually here to sell. They're actually here to make money. And the reputation system on Pitch works quite well. So usually if you choose a good seller, this is not in their interests. This is not in their incentive, let's say, to cheat, because their reputation will be highly impacted and their volume will be highly impacted. So they will make less money. So the reputation system is constantly evolving, and it works quite well as the dispute. So the escrow, the dispute management with the customer support, plus the reputation, those three are let's say the pillars to make it secure and sound peer-to-peer trade.
Yeah, and I think especially the reputation system is really important. I was also investigating a lot with Uber, and Uber had a similar problem actually, because the taxi system was kind of, oh, there's a centralized service. It's overlooked by, like, at least in Austria. I don't know how it works all over the world, but it's overlooked, and they're highly regulated taxi networks. And you call there, and like you have to have a driver license, you have to have like different additional license to operate a taxi. And when Uber came along, a lot of people were like, "Oh, but then I'm sitting with a stranger in a car." But this stranger wants to make money. And over time, Uber collected so much data from the driver that they know when they did not do something good. They got rated from passengers, and you could know, like you could like, oh, they has like a 4.9 ratings, and like thousands of them already drove with him. Of course, he will be good. Like, why should he be not good? And you even know it beforehand. And this is like this from centralized to decentralized. And I think it's similar with like a centralized exchange, like Relay 21 Bitcoin, to now like peer-to-peer platform, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. And we went a little bit further in terms of the reputation system compared to our current competitors. because currently the competitors for the reputation system, they only take into account the peer rating. So at the end of the trade, you rate your peer, basically. It can be either an amount of stars, so from 1 to 5 stars, or sum up, sum down. We chose for the sum up, sum down after some analysis, whatever. So there is this is one part of the reputation system, but the other part of our reputation system is that we are also tracking the action of the user inside the app. So let's say that if you have fun spamming a seller, matching, unmatching, or canceling a trade, something like that, you will be impacted. If you cancel a trade, you'll be impacted. If you are not fast enough, you will be impacted. So on top of the score, it's like on 5 pitches score, we have some badges. So are you a fast trader? Are you a super trader? This type of thing that with a little bit of gamification-ish, but actually taking into account, it reflects the user action in the app, and not only the peer rating. And it works quite well. So I'm actually quite happy about this idea that we had.
Yeah, and it's super important. I remember, I think Airbnb has it also with like badges like super host or something like that.
Yes.
If you're a host that proves themselves really good and gets a lot of great ratings, has a lot of good things, or even with chat things. I see it sometimes on chat platforms where you want to have a response. They write the average response time, like,
Yeah.
oh, this host writes back in average in 23 minutes or something like that. This gives the one who buys from them or like uses the service, whatever the thing is, a really good feeling, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was surprised, to be honest, by the users' reaction, because users care about their pitch reputation score. They do care, It's like, hey, how come I lost my fast trader badge? Can you check what's happening? It's like, oh, okay, yeah.
Let's see if you get it back.
Yeah, exactly. Behave well and you will be rewarded.
Yes.
And one of the things that is nice maybe to note on this is that so the pitch account, when you have a pitch account, it's actually a pub key. Your pitch ID is your account pub key. So meaning that in the near future, we can actually make it exportable. A little bit like Noster works, it's a little bit, it's the same principle, kinda.
Mm.
So you can make it exportable. So basically, if you have a very good reputation on pitch over the past, 3 years, and you want to use it maybe in another Bitcoin platform where you could import your reputation and not starting from scratch, then that could be possible in the future.
That's always amazing. Intercopy. I cannot pronounce that name.
Interoperability.
Yes, I'm a German, so I can I have problems with that word. But it's so important that we have the working together of different platforms and the integrations of different platforms and taking something with us. And it's like with social media, as you said, with Nostra, you have basically a base layer protocol you can use, and you can take your followers, your contacts, and your content with you to different clients. And that's amazing. I mean, still the network effect of YouTube and Twitter and Spotify and all those platforms are really big and hard to break. But it will be interesting to see how this world will be decentralized in the future, or will that's actually an interesting question for you. Do you think that the way we are going, that we can achieve mainstream decentralized world where we all use a social media Nostra, we all use as buying platforms, something like Beach Bitcoin, we all use only decentralized things, or will there always be, for example, for YouTube and Twitter, centralized platforms? How do you see that?
So it's a very hard question because it's hard to predict. I don't see it either or. I kind of see it both ways. Maybe I see a multipolar world. I guess I think that because centralization has some advantage as well. It can have some advantage as well. I guess we are very at the premise of decentralization. We are very so early at the premise of decentralization of Nostr and things that it's really it's really hard to imagine how it can be in 10 years, 20 years, 30 years from now. I'm not even really counting like 5 years. I think it's too, we really need to have this low time preference, long-term view, I think,
Yes.
with this change of paradigm. And yes, it can be for sure. Like the more people build on it, then the more the UX will be friendly, because UX is very, very important for the user. So again, I think it will take time. That's how I see it. It will take time, and then I don't necessarily see a black or white world. I see a world, I guess, where I don't know. Maybe who will be lucky enough to choose to move to some places where they have some more white choices will be able to use those white choices. And yeah, that's how I see it. And just a note, Pitch is not fully decentralized, given that Pitch is a company. So that's an important note I want to make, because yeah, it's a company, like it's a company basically, but then the order book is decentralized. It's a peer-to-peer order book. So it's not basically, the order book is pitch ID 123 bought 1 million sats to pitch ID 456 on February the 12th. That's the order book. So this order book is centralized. It's not like Steph bought 1 million sats to this centralized exchange, so that's really the difference.
So basically, when the government shuts down Beach, it does not affect the users. It just affects the company, and the service is no longer available, right?
So the service, exactly, the service will no longer be available for the simple reason, because of the escrow, because we have a key on the escrow for dispute management. The day we actually change the model and find a way to decentralize the escrow solution, the dispute management, etc. Maybe that day, yes, actually, we can move to another business model. Again, I think the advantage, the issue that I have with that is that I think that a centralized customer support or dispute management is more efficient. The only reason why we would like to build it decentralized, the dispute management, is because of control, surveillance, violence from the state. That's the only reason why. So it's actually a defense action, because if we were in a free world where we're like, well, do a business, you're not harming anyone, right? So you're not hurting anyone. So, I mean, you can do whatever business you want. I would not even think about, but maybe one day we need to create a decentralized escrow and dispute management, because I wouldn't need to, because mine is efficient and I wouldn't be afraid of being closed down, surveilled, controlled, etc., etc. So yeah, it's a defense mechanism a lot, I think. Yeah.
But it seems that the jurisdictions you are sitting in, Swiss, is quite friendly to Bitcoin from the regulation. I'm rarely in Switzerland, but I interviewed a lot of Swiss people already. And it seems like Swiss regulations are quite friendly compared to other countries, like just Austria, if we take it as an example.
Yeah, no, there's some interesting stuff. Like, I don't know if you knew, but Pitch is 100% on a Bitcoin standard. We do not have a bank account at all.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's quite fun. Zero bank accounts. Yeah, no bank accounts. So our reserve is in Bitcoin. We do everything in Bitcoin. Basically, we have a Bitcoin wallet, which is our Pitch reserve. And we operate from this. And so we created the company in Bitcoin. So with the notary as well, we brought the first capital. To create the company, you need to bring a first capital in cash. That was in Bitcoin as well. So everything was in Bitcoin and is in Bitcoin.
Wow, that's I did
Yeah.
not know that. So like this
Yeah.
is like a company where it's proved from the starting it was only Bitcoin. And when did you start? 2021?
2022. Early
2022?
February. Yeah, February 2022.
Oh, that's really really cool. I thought
Yeah.
2021 because I think the Twitter account of Peach was there before, but yeah, that can be like before. Yeah, really.
Ideation phase starts before the
Yeah.
company creation phase.
Yes.
Yeah.
But that's really cool. A company
Mhm.
that's completely on a Bitcoin standard. And how many employees do you have, or how big is if you can talk about that? Like I don't want to force you into and answering anything you don't want to answer.
No, no
But how big
problem.
is Peach Vegan?
So it keeps changing. It keeps changing. We started at 4, then we were 3, then we were 4, 5, up until 9. Now we're back at 3, 4 with an intern. It's yeah, it's a roller coaster basically. It keeps changing.
And
Uh,
with every company, there's a lot of I think uncertainty in there, and you have to change quickly to the market.
and learning as well. Learning, like running a startup is is a complete new adventure, basically. So yeah.
I'm super excited to announce that this podcast got the first ever sponsor. 21 Bitcoin is Bitcoin only from day one, and they teach and preach self custody. This is my go to exchange when someone asks me, oh, where can I buy my Bitcoin from? This is the easiest entry for Bitcoiners. And if you want lower fees, plus at the same time support this podcast, use code Robin and click the link in the description. What did you do before? Like, did you work in a fiat job straight out from, okay, fiat job? What did you do there?
Yes, I had. I started my well, yeah. When I started to working in Switzerland, I started in fiat job, like product manager, product marketing manager, this type of things for multinationals company in the retail business. Well, retail, it's not retail; it's fast moving consumer goods company. I worked for different type of industries, and a few years before starting Peach, I started to discover crypto in 2017, and I was hired as a freelancer as well to work with some, like I worked with an OG investor. He had some startups, and I was managing his startups somehow. Well, this type of stuff that led me to enter the world of crypto in 2017, and very quickly I was not satisfied with what crypto is for, and so very quickly I fell down the Bitcoin rabbit hole, and then I started Pitch Bitcoin.
What was it that was not satisfying you about crypto and made you go on Bitcoin only?
What is it for? I didn't understand
No,
that.
no, like what made you go from like you said that crypto was
Yeah,
not good for you,
yeah.
and then you went down the Bitcoin rabbit hole, and you went Bitcoin only, I guess, as I also did, like in the first year where I discovered crypto, and then after 1 year I went Bitcoin only, and then completely converted everything I had in Bitcoin only. I had like stocks, I had a lot of different things, and converted everything to Bitcoin. So, and for me, it was a big thing when I discovered, oh, Bitcoin is sound money, and Bitcoin is a decentralized store of value that nobody can take from me. Nobody can stop me from transacting with someone. And when I got that in like, it was a year of learning, but when I got it inside of like 1 month, I made the decision, sold all my stocks, sold
Mhm.
everything I had, even like went through the house and the apartment, like, can I sell anything? I actually went through the whole thing, and in 2021 I went all in, and it's a crazy journey till since then. But there's different things about Bitcoin that make people go Bitcoin only and away from all the altcoins, all the shit coins.
My issue, I mean, the reason why I didn't click with crypto is that I didn't understand what it was for. What was the purpose of it? What it was for? What is it solving? What is the, yeah, basically this. And when very often the answer I received, I remember, was yeah, we're going to secure some data, blah blah blah. And I was like, okay, how? And very often when I even asked the how, even though I'm not deep into tech, but the answer was so light and so just, oh, don't bother, we're just gonna secure the data. Basically, I was like, okay, well. And when I understood a little bit, when I started to understand that oh, Bitcoin is actually here to be the global reserve money in the monetary global system, because it's here um, to be a new form of money. I was like, ooh, okay, like there is definitely some. I mean, this is something like it solves a problem, it solves something, and we understand why it exists. Basically, why it exists. The why is very important to me, and so yeah, that's why I continue on the Bitcoin journey, just like you.
Yeah, it's crazy to see. And once you understand that, in like, if you take blockchain technology as a thing, for me the only purpose for blockchain is money. If you have a public transparent ledger like with Bitcoin, and then on top of things, top of that, you can even make applications and stuff like that. I don't care for those, but you can do it if you want. Outside of that, a blockchain is a really inefficient way to store data. And this is something, like, I'm a software developer in my, like, not right now, I'm not a software developer, but I learned it and I worked in that department for like years. So I know that storing data on a blockchain is really inefficient compared to other ways to storing data. But in terms of Bitcoin, it makes sense because you have to have this indestructible ledger that everybody can rely on. So when we have that one use case, money, that's already filled with Bitcoin. There will never, or not in the next 200 years, I guess, I don't want to say never, be a better form of money than Bitcoin. Maybe even in the next 10,000 years. I don't know if there's ever like something that replaces Bitcoin, might be, but I cannot imagine it like in the next hundreds of years. But there's no, we don't need to take all the video games on a blockchain. It's really inefficient way to do that. Yeah. And this made really soon click for me. You said that why is an important topic for you, and I will ask the question now, even though like I kind of know the answer, but for new people that maybe are coming now into Bitcoin, they are asking themselves, oh, when I buy peer-to-peer Bitcoin, no free KYC, I go through some hurdles that are maybe more hurdles than when I buy it just on a centralized exchange. Sometimes, why does it matter? We buy peer-to-peer, no KYC Bitcoin on a platform like Bitcoin.
Okay, I guess so. There are multiple things that can be said, and also very much different perspective. Okay, one of my perspective is that Bitcoin is okay. So Bitcoin is a new form of money. Bitcoin is a money that is created because the current system, the current money doesn't work. So Bitcoin allows us to opt out from a system that is dying. The system that is currently dying doesn't necessarily like to have you opting out from the system that we are feeding on a day-to-day basis. You know, they want us to keep feeding them. So this is why also they came up with all those know your customer rule. Basically, we want to know everything that you're doing to be able to track you and to be able to control you and make sure that you stay in our matrix so you can still feed us, you know, like work for us slaves, basically. So opting out in a private way seems a kind of good idea, basically. Opting out from the fiat system without the fiat system to necessarily know how you're opting out, how much you're opting out, what's the value in your pocket, because that's your own business. They don't have to know it, because if they know it, they will want to steal it from you, basically. So this whole privacy thing, opting out in a private way, ciao, you know, tranquilo, basically is, I think, a very good reason why to buy KYC-free Bitcoin. So yeah, so that's one reason. The second reason is that I, as Peach, then I do not see I do not have a database, as you were talking about. I do not have a centralized database with your name and the amount of sats that you bought or that you sold. So I cannot use that against you. basically. So that's also an additional safety for you as a user, for your privacy, once again, for your protection, to buy peer-to-peer. That's the second thing. And the third thing that I would add as well is maybe more practicality, even though it can also be a very it can also be linked to privacy, is the choice of payment methods. Because usually when you buy in a centralized exchange, so not only the exchange know how much you bought, but also the bank. Usually they use bank transfer. The bank knows as well, because the bank sees that, oh, you sent 100 euro to Binance or whatever exchange. So they know it's Binance. They know it's even Relay. They know it's, and sometimes it has been it has been censored as well. Transactions are censored. Whereas if you send a bank transfer from Steph to Robin, I send you 100 euros, it can be for dinner that we had yesterday, And in fact, under the hood, I bought Bitcoin from you, but they do not know. So this third reason is actually an important reason, I think, a very important one. So censorship, it's a bit more censorship resistance to buy peer-to-peer. And then the choice of payment method also make you more resilient as well, because you can use, okay, my bank just censored me. Well, maybe I can use Amazon gift cards. Maybe I can use Wise. Maybe I can create an account in other online wallets like, I don't know, Bizum in Spain or Portugal, whatever. So yeah, the variety of choice, the protection, the privacy makes it all very, I think, appealing. And what I wanted to achieve with Pitch is to make it appealing, but to make it accessible. Because the reason why we go to centralized exchange is because it's like, oh, it's going to be easy. Yeah, it's going to be easy for me. I don't want to think about it too much. That's the reason why. And that bothered me. I was like, no, we need to make peer-to-peer Bitcoin peer-to-peer extremely accessible as well. So that's, look, just earlier on, you talked about taxi versus Uber. Like, it's a bit the same thing, like 10 years ago, maybe we didn't think that, oh, you're going to kind of peer-to-peer your ride through a centralized matchmaker. Well, now you do it every single day. So why not with Bitcoin as well,
There are amazing reasons, and I just want to add an additional reason for privacy. That's how important that is. When you have when some centralized exchange stores your data, how much Bitcoin did you buy, when did you buy it, and stuff like that. Even if they are completely acting in their best interest, they can be hacked. And
Yeah,
we
I
saw that so many times in the past where centralized exchanges get hacked. And basically, yeah, then they are in trouble. And I think, a few days on from Seyr, Chris from Seyr, from the hardware wallet on, and he said and maybe that's different how you view it and then he views it. And he said he recommends everyone that having two stacks, actually a complete no KYC peer-to-peer privacy stack
yeah,
and a KYC stack.
yeah,
He's like, for him, that's like the best setup, to have like two different stacks, the one that nobody knows about and the one that's just low fees, easy, and you can do it. And I actually have to try Peach Bitcoin after that interview. I did not do it till now, so I have to see how easy it is and how good it is, because I have always in my comment I'm writing about different stuffs, and a lot of people are like, oh, you should try Peach Bitcoin. Like I get this message like at least once a week, or maybe
oh,
once a
nice.
month or something like that. Like I get Peach Bitcoin more and more. And I made a public tweet, I think a year ago or something like that, where I said I want to go away from Bison. Bison is this horrible Bitcoin exchange that went into this complete shitcoin casino with all the shitcoins. This was the first thing that bothered me a lot, that they introduced so many shitcoins to Bitcoin. One day I was like, hey, buy Shiba Inu, and this popped up on my phone, and I was like, no, thank you. Who's telling me that? Oh, my Bitcoin exchange is telling me that. And then a few months later, they asked me where my money is coming from. Like, I have some respect for when they ask me, "Oh, can you identify yourself?" I can understand if they want to have like the regulations and they want to know, okay, is that person really a person, stuff like that. It's like it makes a little bit sense in my mind to make that. But what makes no sense for me, that they know where my money is coming from. Honestly, that's no one's business. And it's not like that I transferred millions. It's like it was a low number of things that I bought. So I was like, I'm away from that. And then I made the tweet, I'm switching away from Bison. And I had a small account back then. And then I was like, where should I switch to? And it got completely viral. And there was like Relay, 21 Bitcoin, Beach Bitcoin. There are like so many different, because my only thing back then was it has to be Bitcoin only. And it's also right now for me, when people ask me where to buy Bitcoin, Bitcoin only is the biggest thing for me. Privacy is something I want to get people in that are already in Bitcoin. Like because sometimes it can be like, I want to eliminate in the beginning when I orange pill someone, the hurdles for everybody as much as possible. So I want to send them to a platform that's Bitcoin only, and the easiest. Then they have no choice. They're buying some. Like I sent them, hey, buy Bitcoin, and then they're coming tomorrow. Hey, I buy Solano. I'm like, no, what did you do?
I agree. That's important. The focus on the signal is important.
Yes, and it has to be really easy, because and then once they're in there, then they can put more stuff in that direction. Yeah. Okay. Maybe a question that just came up in my mind. How do you see, or like, what do you see as like the biggest risks for Bitcoin in the next like 5-10 years? And maybe also like in terms of CBDCs, do you see there a risk, and why? What do you see there?
The risk, at least in Western countries, are more and more surveillance. That is the risk. More and more surveillance, and well, again, I guess. If you want to make, if you want to, I mean, if I were them, if I want to impact Bitcoiners and prevent them to actually buy Bitcoin, what do? I just shut down all the damn exchanges. That's what I would do. So, or I KYC the hell out of all of them, or something like that. So yeah, more and more control over exchanges for sure, on ramp, off ramp. That's the risk. That's the biggest risk in my opinion. Well, this is already happening. So yeah, and then in terms of CBDC, I know it's coming. I don't know how it's exactly going to be executed. So yeah, it's very hard to say. Obviously, that's gonna be a long dark night, I think, for Western people. The ones who would be lucky enough to be able to move, then I think will move. I think this is what is happen. This is what's going to happen, and this is what is already happening right now. People are basically moving to countries, jurisdiction, territories where they feel more at ease, where they feel more free. So that's what happened. Well, we saw it during COVID. There was a big exode from Western countries to more free countries. I think this trend will just continue to accelerate. So yeah, it will continue to accelerate, but it will not be. I don't see the entire world being black, dark, world. I really see that there will be some places of light in the world. Yeah.
Let's hope for that. that will and this is a common thing in Bitcoin, that it gives people hope again. It's really cool. We are having an end routine in the podcast where the previous guest asks a question for the next guest. And the question goes a little bit into what we just talked about. Do you think the Bitcoin ETF will be or can be confiscated? I mean, can be, of course, but will it be confiscated?
So I'm absolutely not an expert into all those trading things. My initial thought would be, why? What are the incentives of confiscating it? I mean,
The the
They
question was around the
believe
thing.
themselves as well, you know?
I think the question from the guest was around there was in the history a lot of times where the governments all around the world confiscated gold.
Okay.
And gold is a little bit easier to confiscate because it's
I see.
physical, and Bitcoin is hard to confiscate. But
I see
when
the But
when there's a
uh,
honeypot, yeah,
but in a way, if you don't own your Bitcoin, it's in a way already confiscable.
confiscated.
Confiscated.
Yeah.
Confiscated. If you don't own your keys, then in a way, you put yourself at risk of being confiscated at any time. So yeah, it can be confiscated. Yeah, for sure. Like your account on whatever exchanges, or yeah, absolutely, it can. Yes.
Yeah, it's like a Bitcoin ETF can be an extreme big honeypot for America. And I talked with the last guest about this. It's like when they all of a sudden came to know that, like, oh, gold is not the world reserve asset anymore. It's Bitcoin now. We have a lot of Bitcoin sitting there at the ETF. We have a lot of Bitcoin sitting there, and there's like a crisis going on. And then, oh, we have to take this Bitcoin in the best interest for all the American citizens. Like, it's, I don't know if it happens. I put it at a low probability that it will happen, but there's a chance. And I'm always saying self custody. Like that's the most important thing. If you're not doing anything else, at least do self custody with your Bitcoin. If you buy it full KYC, and you do a lot of things with your Bitcoin, at least put it in self custody. Then the next step for me is like privacy, and there's a lot of things, coin join and whatever, what on top what you can do, and then you can even do more cybersecurity in general for yourself. I've worked also in cybersecurity in the past, so I know a lot of things you can do there. But at least do the self custody. At least don't give anybody else your keys.
Yeah, 100%. I really think that's the number one thing to preach. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Steph, for being on the podcast. It was really short lived, really
Right.
cool, and I hope we can talk in the future more.
With pleasure. Thank you very much again.